So this video is about how we join two amino acids together via that process of condensation polymerization. It's very similar to what happens in nucleotides. I did bring your attention to it back then. However, we're going to go through it and go through what's the same and what's different. So you can see it's condensation polymerization again. There's a big key that we have with condensation polymerization, the thing that gives it away, and that's this one here. You can see that it's creating this water at the bottom. Now, I don't want you to draw this for now. We're going to go through the drawing in a couple of slides, but essentially you get two amino acids. So you've got amino acid 1, amino acid 2. They join together. This O and 2 H's are removed via this condensation polymerization process. This requires the input of energy, and the removal of water. And what you end up with is what we call a peptide bond versus a phosphodiester bond, which is what it was in nucleic acids. So same thing as before. Number one, you input energy, you remove water, and here's the explanation in terms of chemistry here. And what we get this time is we get a peptide bond formed between the two amino acids. And this just happens over and over again to form a really long chain. And that's why it's called a poly, meaning many, peptide, meaning the type of bond, chain. Okay, so here's a little question to understand how you might be asked about this on an exam. So when I've read out the question, I want you to pause it and try and answer it. It's in your booklets on page, it might be in your booklets. I'm pretty sure if it's not, you can just scribble it at the side there, but it's from the 2017 exam. So describe the chemical reaction that takes place to join the amino acids of a protein. So I want you to pause and then come back to me. All right, so hopefully you did pause and now you're restarting the video and you've given this a go. So we've got 3 marks here, and the biggest giveaway for me is that it hasn't mentioned the name of the reaction. So one of the very first things I would want to do is I'd want to name the reaction. I'd want to say it's about condensation polymerization. And then we've got a few places to go from there. So having a look at the examiner's report, you can call it a condensation reaction, you can call it a condensation polymerization reaction. Doesn't really matter if you put in the polymerization part, but you could say that energy was an input, water was an output. Because they're talking about amino acids, I know for a fact that they also accepted that a peptide bond was formed between the two. Yeah, but essentially this is what's happening throughout the reaction, and you can put down any of these points. Now, it was a fairly interestingly marked question. You can see here that a lot of people, 40% got 3, but 32% got 0. They looked at that question and they went, no idea. So take solace in the fact that you know what you're talking about, and you can do it when you answer these questions. What we're going to do is I'm going to draw you a simpler dipeptide than what we had. So you've got this one here, which is a bit complex, but let's go back and draw it like we did with the nucleotides. All right, so we've got a dipeptide, so it means we need 2 amino acids. So I've got a carbon with an H, an R group off one side. So remember, this is amino acid 1. I'm going to say amino acid 1. We're going to have an NH2 on this side and a COOH on this side. We're going to add that to, amino acid 2, which is again the same diagram, but make sure we have our NH2 on the other side. And then we're going to join them together. You can even have them as little circles. Oh, sorry, not the amino acid part there. Have them all as circles just to make it a bit easier on yourself. So we know that on this side, we're going to have an NH2, go to a carbon. We're just going to join it straight through to the next one. Oh, sorry, guys. You don't need to draw anything in the middle here. We're just going to call it a peptide bond. COOH over here. H is off the top, or R's. It doesn't matter which direction they're in. Like this, plus water. Right. So if you can draw a diagram like that, it's a bit easier. You don't have to worry about what's happening in the middle here. Yeah, this bit here, this peptide bond. Unless you're a really good chemist, you don't need to draw that or understand where the double bond is or anything like that. It's simply good enough to have a line between the two amino acids and write the words peptide bond on it. Right? And that's how we understand how two amino acids are joined together by condensation polymerization and draw it.